Welcome back to my channel. First, I want to say thank you for checking me out, and I hope that this content, you enjoy this content. It's about um, me reflecting on my life from what I can remember from a child all the way up into right now. So let's get started. So a backstory is basically my mom and dad were married for like 26 years, and they had me, my brother, and my sister. My sister is 11 months younger than myself. My brother is 2 years older than me, and so my dad is black in Indian, and my mom is Spanish and Italian. Um, my mom was more of the spiritual one. My dad was a worker. He was a brick mason, and he worked all the time, and he had a good eye for building things. He worked on many things in LA. Um, his work still stands to this day, and he did an awesome job. He never was without the job because people liked his work, and every time he was working, um, people would stop and ask for his number so they can get their work done. So I grew up, and mainly I can remember um, when we really got established, and that was when I was in the fifth grade, and I grew up in Compton, and everybody thinks Compton was like the worst, and it was. It's not as bad as people thought it was. I lived right in the middle of it, where I lived in an area where um, they did kill a couple people that I actually knew, but um, I have friends that they weren't about that, and I'll talk about them later in the story. But I remember going to elementary for the first time, and the elementary school was called Robert F. Kennedy. And I remember my mom dropping me off, and in the fifth grade, I was emotionally attached to my mom, and like I was crying when she left. I remember that, and but that didn't last. I mean, I got used to it. It was a new place and everything like that. But I made friends and stuff, like, after a while I made friends. But there's these girls. There's this one girl in particular. For some reason, she wanted to fight me, and I was quiet, and I always been quiet, like kept to myself, and she wanted to fight me. So one day after school, she jumped. I had like a lot of clarity here, and she jumped on me, grabbed my hair, and dropped me to the ground. And I have a little sister. She's probably only like 5 foot tall, 4'8". I don't know to this day, but she was really small. And my sister jumped and was like, "You better get off my brother," you know. And I found that was kind of funny because my sister she was down. She was small, but she was like she ain't letting her brother get um, beat up. It wasn't that I wasn't to get beat up, but it was that I didn't really want to fight a girl. And so after that, everything was cool. I ended up graduating with the girl. All the way went from fifth grade, went to elementary, went to Compton High School, um, and we graduated. And I know her. I don't know her personally, like I talk to her every day, but I've seen her at homecomings at Compton High a couple years ago. So everything's cool, but that was funny part of my childhood. I remember my brother is the one who actually got those friends. They're two twins, and um, my brother, started being friends with them, and I'm following behind my brother. So I'm just started following around and being friends with them too, and they are lifelong friends. I talked to them actually probably last week. I talked to them. So good friends, good people, and they were about, doing good work in school and graduating on top of their class and stuff like that. And I looked at it like that's what I want to do. So we used to hang out together. Uh, they taught me how to drive a stick. They taught me how to swim and chase girls too. But it's all good. I had a good childhood, even though, like I say, I grew up in the gang neighborhood. But in my neighborhood, we had chickens and I had a pony, so we were able to experience that right in the midst of Compton. And I found that to be cool, and I tell people that all the time. Like, man, I lived in Richland Farms, and I was able to have a pony, and we used to take my pony out to my buddy's house down the street, and we used to race. They'd be on their bike, and I'd give them a half a block, and then I'd turn her around, and we'd take off. And that was fun. That was fun. You know, things like that I reflect on in my life was a good times. We used to um, play in the backyard, and we used to have cap guns, and we used to call it shoot 'em out, and we used to run around. We had like stables, and we would shooting and shooting at each other, and like gotcha, those type of things where boys just did that. And we used to be able to ride our bikes down the street and come in when the street lights come on. It's not like that now, but we used to do those kind of things and have fun. We used to make tents underneath trees in the backyard and hang out like that. We used to play football in the front of the school. We used to play strike 'em out, baseball game, and we used to play. I didn't really play basketball too much, but I liked football. We used to box. They had me boxing like all the neighborhood kids, and I can hold my own. I was small at the time. I was like 5'2", but I had to fight my brother. I had to fight my cousin, and they are all bigger than me. But I did pretty good. I probably could have been a good boxer, but I don't know. My dad was a boxer in the Navy, and maybe that's where it came from. But they never put me into any sports, so I didn't really know, anything about sports. I did try to. Me and my brother tried to get on this baseball team. We didn't even make the cut, but we didn't even know nothing about baseball. So that's just a little bit of my childhood life that I could reflect on. And overall, I had a pretty good childhood. And like I say, the neighborhood was farms, pretty nice size lots. My dad um, built, like when the 105 freeway was being built, they took homes and they auctioned them off and to people. And my dad bought this house in an auction, and he had the house moved all the way to the Richland Farms. And his mom and dad my grandparents lived in Richland Farms. That's how we ended up living there. And my dad took this house, and before there was a house, there was a lot that was empty. So they went through that lot into the back and put it behind the my grandma and grandpa's house. So all together we had like, I want to say 6 bedrooms or more. We had like 4 bathrooms. It was just huge. In that time when he was doing that, we moved in, but we had to move in a trailer. So we lived into it, like, I want to say it was a 25-foot trailer. It was small. And me, my brother, and my mother, my sister, and my dad lived in there, and a couple dogs. And we straight lived in there. And some kids found out that we lived in a trailer. And that ain't all good. They want to talk about you and say, oh, you live in a trailer. But it took some time for my dad to do, build everything and foundation work and all that. And he did it himself with his own 2 hands and a little bit of work, a little bit of help. And my uncle, he worked for the concrete place. He was like a dispatcher for the concrete that was being poured on the 105. So it worked out for my dad. Every time they had they had an overflow of concrete, he would send it to my dad, and my dad poured that concrete. Like, he poured the footing with the concrete. He poured a whole driveway that wrapped around the whole house. It was probably, I don't know, 100 yards of concrete, and my dad poured all that concrete. So that was just a cool time to live in and see. And that house is in Compton. I just looked it up not that long ago. When we moved from there, it was probably in 1997 when we moved out of Compton into like Rialto. That's where my mom and dad ended up living. My sister still stays there, but it was crazy because that price of that house right now is like over $900,000, and so that's how that's how property is. Investing is pretty cool when you can wait it out and have patience. But I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Just reflecting on my life and where I'm at right now. So just follow me, subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it. Like I said before on my first video, if you can go back and watch that if you haven't anyway. I'm doing this to supplement my income, so subscribers and just to help out and just watch a little bit and listen to my story. It's personal. It's something that I remembered. Nobody has a story like me, and so I appreciate y'all taking the time out to watch my video, and peace to the next one.